Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending the last session for Houston Money Week. We have today the wonderful Lisa Hatfield-Gonzalez and Arrianna Quinn. They will be talking about, They will be talking about LinkedIn, what's going to happen after graduation, and topics such as your social network and career planning and success. So also planning your career, understanding your paycheck, and the benefits of LinkedIn. Lisa, Arrianna, please take it away. The floor is yours.
All right. So I see my colleague Arrianna is pulling up her screen to share the PowerPoint with us. And then, yeah, there we go. Ari, do you just want to swap in display settings?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. No problem.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, perfect. So thank y'all so much for your patience. I'm going to let Ari get started with this first part.
Yes, thank you all again for y'all's patience here with us. We are going to be talking to you today about some career planning, LinkedIn, just how to network and best practices, and then also understanding your money. That includes your paycheck, taxes, benefits, compensation, anything related to your job, that how they pay you, things like that. So again, my name is Arrianna O'Quinn. I am the career coach and liaison to University College, and again we have Lisa as well, who is the career coach and liaison to College of Public Service, and we are going to be talking to you today. So first, I want to just give you a brief overview of our services. So we are the Career Center, and let me know if y'all can see the next slide.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So we are at the main career center, but we also have a College of Business Career Center, and it's in the Maryland Davies College of Business, which is the Shea Street building. And in our career center, we do the same things as them, but we only serve our colleges of humanities, social sciences, and then also public service, sciences and technology, and University College. We do things like self-assessments, career coaching, resume reviews, also cover letter reviews, mock interviews, career fairs, and we also have an online job board, which I'll discuss in a second. And then we also help you with any type of job or internship search, and then just providing you with some strategies. And so you'll see the list of our coaches that are respective to the colleges that they serve. And then also you'll see our drop-in time. So we know sometimes our appointment timing during the day does not align with student schedules. And so we do offer a drop-in session each day, Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. Just keep in mind that sessions for drop-ins are only 15 minutes and not a full session, and that you can do them virtually or in person. And the link for our Zoom is provided there for your use. And just a disclaimer, at the end of this presentation, we will provide all of the links that we mentioned here in our presentation for you all to be able to click on or access if you need it. And then to the right side, you'll see College of Business's hours. This is taken directly from their website. So if you were to visit their website, you can still find the same hours, and you'll find their Zoom room and everything that you need to get in touch with them if you are a business major. So I was mentioning our job board, and what that is we have a job board called Jobs for Gators. And if you are a College of Business student, yours is called Gator Hired. They do the same thing. They are the same system. We just keep them separate because we understand that sometimes employers want to target certain majors. And so it just makes the process easier for that employer to be able to connect with the students that they're looking for. And so if you have not already, you would need to activate your Jobs for Gators or Gator Hired account. And you'll do that with your Blackboard ID or username, and then your password. Everyone has an account unless you are a new student, which that shouldn't be the case for you all, but if you're a new student, you would need to wait until classes start, but you all should have an account and should be able to activate it. If you run into trouble, you can definitely give our office a call and we can help you out, whether that's to do a password reset or help you retrieve your username or anything that you need. And again, it's a job board, which means if you go through the resume process and you let your coach help you and review your resume, and your resume gets approved, you'll then be able to see jobs and internships that are available to UHD students, which employers actively recruit here with us. And so you can also take a look at our events. You'll find different types of events varying from job fairs, workshops, just anything career related to, get you ready and get you going. You'll find all of that on Jobs for Gators as well. So let's talk a little bit about career competencies. Some of you may know what this is and some of you may not, but these are things that employers are looking for. And so these are not things that, we came up with or that we're guessing that employers are looking for. These are things that were provided to us from NACE, which is the National Association for Colleges and Employers. And they, surveyed employers. This is what employers have said that they are looking for, or things that are most important in the employees or students that they are hiring. And so critical thinking, communication, leadership skills, professionalism, teamwork, technology, equity and inclusion, career and self-development are all some of the competencies that employers are looking for when they are hiring or interviewing candidates. Now, you may be wondering where you can acquire these skills or, learn and develop in these areas. And I want you to always remember everything you do here, through the university or even at your current job, if you are working, are ways that you can build these competencies. So in your classrooms, you are working in a team most of the time whenever doing projects. Also communication when it comes to talking to team members or your faculty, or even just being able to reach out to an advisor and say that you need some assistance. Those are all building great communication skills. Also, when you are taking exams or just kind of being forced out of your comfort limits, that helps you with your critical thinking, which is very, very important. And then also just learning different technology systems as you do here at the university, using Blackboard or whatever other system that your professor has required you to use, is also building that competency. So just remember that you have an opportunity to build these competencies at all times. There's not a given time here at the university that you don't have that chance. And so you just kind of want to look at everything as a moment to learn. And so with that, we have a 4-year checklist, and we like to make sure students are aware of this because from day one as a freshman, you should be focusing on how you can better yourself and become more career ready each year, so that by the time you graduate, you are ready, to take on your first full-time job, or even if it's just your first job in general. But we want to make sure that you are ready, and so I'm going to share that with y'all in a second. Are you guys able to still see this?
We are.
Perfect. Okay, so here's our checklist. And so as a freshman, you want to make sure that you are exploring and connecting with people. It's really important to start building relationships with people, especially here at UHD. So that way you have people that you can contact or keep in touch with whenever you're needing some sort of recommendation or just some guidance in maybe their experience in the area. And so you can do this by taking a Focus 2 assessment, which I'll discuss in a second as well, but then also getting to know people, and then also joining clubs. And so whenever you join clubs, you get to meet, an array of people that you may have not ever got to meet if you didn't join the club. And so they may open up opportunities for you, and this helps you build your network, which is of course our theme. And so we want to make sure that you take every opportunity, whether it's in class, walking the halls, talking to advisors, that you are adding these people to your network, because what happens is eventually you may have a question that they may be able to answer for you, and you want to just make sure that you can call on them. Also, as a freshman, you want to make sure you get started with your resume. I know sometimes our freshmen either have no work experience, or maybe they just don't have enough things that they feel are important to build their resume, but that's not true. You came from high school, you may have a couple of things you want to highlight on that resume, and that also matters as well. But then having the resume as a freshman will then teach you what you need to do and how to update it going forward. And so you just want to make sure that you're being proactive from the start, so that way you're not in a situation where you're graduating and you're not sure what to do next. And so the checklist prepares you for the next steps. And you'll see, as a sophomore, you're supposed to be engaging and reflecting, making sure that you're regularly checking in with the Career Center, and then setting appointments to just make sure you're on track with your classes, of how they coincide with what you want to do. And then that way you're able to come to some sort of vision on how you see yourself, or what you see yourself doing after you graduate. And then as a junior, plan and prepare. So now you're, almost done, and you want to make sure that you have this research on these industries or the organizations that you're interested in. Make sure you're talking with your professors, looking at your degree reports. And if you're not sure how to run any of those, your advisor definitely can help you out on that. And it's in your student account, I believe. But definitely make sure you are up to date on all of your academics and your student success things. So that way, when you become a senior, all you focus on is applying for jobs and making sure that you are looking at the ones that you want to do. And so again, as a senior, act and achieve. So now is the time you are applying, you are doing mock interviews with us. So we also, help you prepare for those interviews. You don't have to feel like you're not ready, or, things just are not lining up. You can definitely use us for all of that. Come to us, we will help you run through a mock interview, and we can even tailor the questions to the specific job, especially if you know which job it's going to be. And then we just also help you demonstrate how you've learned those career readiness competencies that we discussed. And so you want to make sure that you go through this checklist, each year or every semester, if possible, so where you're able to stay on track and you're ready. And if you get off track, that's okay too. That's what we're here for. Definitely give us a call, drop into Zoom, and we can help you with that. So let's make sure you make that list and you check it twice. So here's Focus 2. This is what I was talking about as a freshman. And it's not too late to take Focus 2. All of our UHD students and alumni have access to take Focus 2. And what it is a career assessment tool that helps you kind of gauge your options. And so it asks you a series of questions, and it's broken down into different assessments, which is great because sometimes people don't have the time to take it all at once, and that's okay. So it's broken down into different ones, and you can just take your time and take it, and then it gives you results at the end. And what it does is you get accurate information about your attributes. And so what your career coach does with this is they go through your academic strengths, your work interests, skills, and personality, and then they help you choose an appropriate major for you. And so some people take this for major choice, and then some people also take it just for like a career choice. Some people know what they want to major in, but they're having a hard time figuring out what types of jobs they can do with it. And so this also helps you because it tells you what you're interested in, which will help you, find a better job that suits you. The link for this is provided below with the access code, and then also will be given at the end as well. And you all feel free to stop me at any point if you do have a question about something. So now we are going to look at some of our major and career exploration resources. And so these are major handouts. These are also on our website. And what you can do with this is we have one for every major here at UHD. What it does is it tells you what you can do with your major. It provides you different websites that may be related to your major, as well as organizations. And then also, if you're considering grad school after your bachelor's, it also gives you like a statement or something that you may be able to look into, or any type of degree that applies to that if you're looking to continue that route. It also gives you a what is this? And so, for instance, this is a psychology example. Some people, they know what they want to do with psychology, but maybe they're not really sure what psychology actually is. And so it just kind of gives you that definition or the details about it. So that way you have a better understanding. At the bottom, you'll find something that's really important, and that's community partnerships. We love that UHD has partnerships with their community, and that's the whole grounds of our school. And so we make sure that our students know what organizations have partnerships with either anything related to psychology or even related to the university. And so this also will be provided to you at the end, and you will then be able to see it for any major. So if you have any trouble with that, just let us know. But each major has one of these handouts, and it also provides you with a search called ONET. And what that does is you can go in and type in any type of position or job title that you are interested in. And what it does is it pulls up every detail about it, meaning it pulls up the required education or the recommended education. And then it also pulls up salary. It just skills, abilities, knowledge, just anything that you need to know about working in that particular job or position. And so that's also a guide for you to let you know what you need to be working on and developing to be able to attain a position of that or such like that. So what is networking? Everyone is already doing networking. I know it says you should be doing it, but you are already doing it. If you so much as pick up your phone and you're texting someone or you're commenting on Instagram and Facebook, you are already networking and you don't realize it. So it's just getting to know people, building relationships, and you just never know. They may result in an opportunity for you, including jobs. It may be something personal. It could be something career related. You just never know how things can fall. And so that's why it's really important to network. You want to make sure that you are not just asking about a job for yourself, but you're creating a relationship so that that person can think of you whenever something opens up. People do business primarily with the people that they know and like. So it's best that you don't burn any bridges, as the saying goes. You want to make sure that you keep in good connection with people, even if your paths kind of go astray and go differently. That's okay. Still just keeping in touch with them matters a lot. Your resumes and cover letters are often too impersonal to convince them to hire you. And so if there's someone there that knows you or know your work, that they'll be able to speak more to it beyond your resume. And so it's really good to make the connection with someone so that way they are able to speak about you on your behalf. You also want to make sure that the job you may want is probably not advertised and they're probably going to do an on-the-spot hiring. So also having someone that's like, yeah, that person is, they're great. They did this and they did that. And now that person was your advocate and you probably just got a job without having to even go through some sort of process. And so 70% of all jobs are found through networking, and that is true, and it's from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So it starts with communication. That is one of our competencies that we like to stress a lot to our students, is to be communicative. You want to make sure that you are speaking out and speaking up whenever possible. That helps you become a better communicator. And even through emails, text messages, posts, anything like that, the way you speak says a lot. And so you want to make sure that you always put your best foot forward, and then you always look for that opportunity to meet someone new and communicate with them. So who is a part of your network? If you haven't considered this, take a look at these things. Your colleagues, so people you currently work with right now, are part of your network. Supervisors, classmates, professors, your family, friends, and clients are all a part of your network. I know some people probably think, well, how's a client a part of your network? Well, even though they're your client, they can possibly bring you more clients, which is another person being added to your network. Or they can, give you someone that may are looking for work and work with you. And so it just goes everywhere. It's no limit to networking. It's no limit to relationship building. And so every single person that you come in contact with or that you form a relationship with are part of your network. So that goes for even just now today, listening to myself and Lisa speak, although you may have never met us before, you now know who to go to for help. And so that goes back to knowing what people do and how they can help you, and then keeping a connection or relationship with them. So let's pivot over to LinkedIn. I hope most of you know what LinkedIn is. I like to consider LinkedIn as a professional social media. And I say that because it is a social network site or app for people, but in a professional setting. And so it's almost like a workplace Instagram for me. And what I like to do with LinkedIn is kind of like stay up to date with different fun things about the workplace. And so, Employee Appreciation Day, or people getting promotions, or people looking for jobs and things like that. And so you see a lot of career related items on LinkedIn. And it's a pretty interesting site to see, how people are so eager to share their experiences in their jobs and things like that. And so now the stats of LinkedIn, because some people I do realize are not on LinkedIn, but I do want to stress the importance of it. So more than 55 million companies are on the site. 14 million jobs are open. 87% of recruiters regularly use LinkedIn, and that is a fact for sure. If you so much as click the jobs tab in LinkedIn, you will see tons of postings. And if you click the postings, you will see tons of people that are the recruiter for that posting. And then there's 122 million people receiving an interview through LinkedIn, 35.5 million hired by a person they connected with on the site, and 3 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute. I don't know about you, but to me, that is a lot. And I can see that being highly possible given that LinkedIn has a LinkedIn apply option, meaning you don't have to navigate to that company's website to apply. You can apply right there on LinkedIn with your LinkedIn resume or resume that you uploaded, and the recruiter will see it from there. So LinkedIn is doing some direct hiring, and they're doing some really good things. And so again, if you are not familiar with LinkedIn, this is your chance to go ahead and get familiar. And again, the Career Center can help you with that. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa so she can go in a little more detail about LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you so much, Ari, for your help. And again, as Ari mentioned, if y'all have any questions about anything throughout this presentation, please feel free to unmute your mics and ask, or type your questions in the chat, and we'll happily get to those when we can, either at the conclusion of the presentation, or if we have a break in time, we can check that out. So let's talk about some of the benefits of having a LinkedIn profile. And obviously, Ari has covered some wonderful statistics that kind of already should give you an idea of the benefits. But let's continue to explore that a little bit more. So my colleague Wendy likes to refer to LinkedIn as the resume that never sleeps. And I love that because recruiters can have such a varied schedule. You know, somebody may be looking at potential candidates for a position, you know, in the evening, maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m., later than that. And so it's wonderful that LinkedIn is there 24/7. They can check that out to see all of the great things that you've accomplished, the experiences that you bring to the table, and, you know, just the knowledge and skills that you have. As she mentioned, it's also a great networking resource. So again, she mentioned over 70% of jobs are acquired via networking. And this is just one other great resource for expanding upon your network. The one thing that I love about LinkedIn is that it makes it so easy to connect with professionals in your desired career industry or in your desired role. I think especially with COVID, we've definitely, you know, found comfort behind the screen. And so this is just one other way that we can, you know, meet somebody comfortably and safely that maybe we wouldn't be able to have met otherwise. It's also a job and internship board, and the studies show that more employers are posting their positions to LinkedIn than any other source now. So we are hearing that employers are choosing to post their positions to LinkedIn rather than within their own sites or other job boards like Indeed. So this right now is trending as one of the top places where you can find positions posted. It's great to connect with other alum from UHD. So we know that alum are very proud of their institution and they want to give back any way that they can. And so this is a great way for you to expand upon your network by connecting with other UHD alum. And there is a UHD alum page on LinkedIn. So I do encourage all of you to connect with it so that you can maybe open the door to a new opportunity for yourself that way. So again, we know that LinkedIn is used by HR as a resource to learn more about you. I want to say that it's like 83%, I think is the current statistic. So 83% of hiring managers are looking you up on LinkedIn. And the problem with not having a LinkedIn profile is that the second most sought out source for exploring information about candidates is Facebook. So if you are not as professional on Facebook, maybe, you know, you're sharing more photos of what you're doing on your weekends or things of that nature, then that's what these employers are seeing, versus LinkedIn, which is catered more towards professionalism and goals that you are attaining. And then I think LinkedIn is a great place to show your skills and experience, but also includes a taste of your personality. As Ari mentioned, resumes and cover letters can sometimes be a little bit cold. We're writing to job descriptions, we're trying to keep things concise. With LinkedIn, you don't have to worry about being concise. There's no page limit, and we don't have to speak from that third person perspective that we often use with resume writing. So you can showcase a little more of your personality. You can add pictures that relate to projects you've worked on, or maybe from a volunteer experience that you're at, you took a group photo and want to post that. So there's still, a really great opportunity to show the wonderful things that you're doing while still also showcasing that personality. And so now what we have here is a checklist of just the top items that we want for you to focus on when you are putting your profile together. So we're going to start with the photo. So your profile is 7 times more likely to be viewed if you have a profile picture. So if you don't, it's time to get one. And then you can also see in the background that there is that photo behind the profile picture. So you see like 4 individuals with that hashtag in it together. So you also want to have a photo there. What I encourage students to choose is something that relates to the industry that you want to go into. So for example, I am in higher education, and so my photo has books and other things related to that. I've had students post photos. I had a teacher actually post photos of herself with several of the lessons that she had created, and some of the items and things like that laid out on the desk before her, which I thought was really cute. So you can be creative with this, but I think it gives the employer who's looking at you an insight right away of what your interests are. So now, talking about your photo itself, it doesn't have to be like a professionally taken photo. You don't have to go to, your Walmart or JCPenney photo center, if those even still exist. I just aged myself there, by the way. But you can actually just take a selfie, focusing on the shoulders and up. We want you to smile because studies show that portrays you in a better light. The other thing is that once a month, we offer a workshop in our office called Link Up with LinkedIn. I want to say that the next one we have is next week, I believe on the 23rd, or is it the 26th, Ari? Ari may know.
26.
Okay, so the 26th. So we have these workshops where you can come in and you can have your photo taken. We have a professional background, we have some nice lights, and we can take the photo for you, or you can take it yourself using our Lumatic app, which is just a fabulous app that you can use to edit your professional photos. So we'll have all the instructions for you for that if you choose to participate on the 26th with us. So you can just stop by our office for that event. So anyway, so now moving on to the location. So yes, the more details that you provide, the better. If you showcase where you are, so let's say Houston, Texas, you're more likely to be contacted by local recruiters for opportunities in your area. So this is something that you definitely want to add. I also want to point out the headline. So you see in this particular sample, Connie Chan Wang is labeled as the Director of Global Brand Marketing at LinkedIn. So, I want for you all to think about how you can brand yourself, because oftentimes we'll see students that will simply say, student at University of Houston downtown. And that doesn't give me an idea of what direction you want to go in. So I would rather that you indicate here maybe that you're an aspiring teacher or an aspiring scientist, something that just kind of gives an idea of the direction that you want to go into, and can showcase your personality a little bit as well. So I know this example is a little bland, but we do, encourage you to be creative with that headline there. So now I want to jump into the summary section. So this, if you have a resume, is going to be kind of similar to what you have for the summary or objective statement on your resume. The difference is obviously that it can be a little more personalized. So you can use, personal pronouns. You can, just give them an idea of who you are and what values you bring. But I do want to point out that the first 3 lines are the most important, and you can see here why. So this is going to be what the recruiter sees, and if they're interested, then they may click that show more button where they can continue to read if you have a longer summary than just 3 lines. But you want to make sure that you're catching their attention within those first 3 lines, because if they are not interested, then they won't read more. In fact, they may not even continue to look at your profile. So this is where you really have to market yourself and throw your most important assets out there within these 3 lines. Then, of course, we want for you to have your experiences, and you're going to use reverse chronological order, which means that your most recent experiences are going to go on the top. You can see here that in this sample, we see that Connie actually has, some links, some photos. I see documents that she's got there. So you can definitely add those in too, just to give a visual of some of the different projects that you're working on, and what work looks like for you. Because everybody, brings a different work ethic to the table. So I think that that's a really interesting piece about LinkedIn, is that you can actually show people what work looks like for you. I think we can go ahead and scroll to the next one, Ari. Okay, yeah. So your educational piece is also important. One thing that I see very commonly is that students, when they're listing their educational pieces, will not put the university name exactly as it is. And so then the university doesn't get linked to their profile. You see how here in this example, there's a logo for the universities that Connie attended. Your goal is to have a logo pop up. So make sure that the wording that you use when you're listing your education is exactly as the university uses its name, so that you can be connected to that university. Again, we know if employers are looking at your location, it's also possible that they're looking at the university that you attended. And so let's say somebody at University of Houston downtown is recruiting for a position here, and they see that you attended here, and that you meet the qualifications for their open position. They may reach out and say, hey, I see you went to UHD and we have a position open here. So it's important to link that by using the actual name of the university. And this is where you can also include things like we do in the resume, like activities that you're involved in, awards that you've received, things of that nature. And then one thing that's really cool about LinkedIn that we don't get with a resume is that endorsement piece. So you can ask, colleagues, classmates, professors to endorse your skills. So just like we have a skills section on our resume, we have a skills section on LinkedIn, and we encourage you to choose at least 5 skills. But these endorsements allow classmates, professors, colleagues to verify that you are skilled in these areas. So you see here, Connie said she was skilled in social media, and she's been endorsed by 10 people for that. So that is, somebody saying, yes, she is skilled in this area. And that's a great thing, especially if one of the people who endorsed you, is somebody that is well known and respected and trusted. Then if somebody recognizes the name, they can say, oh, wow, so and so really said that this person is strong in social media. So they must be, I trust their opinion. So that's kind of just a gist of what you want to focus on when it comes to your LinkedIn profile. Yes, so definitely make sure to complete the checklist. You can transfer information very easily from your resume to your profile and then just kind of tweak it accordingly. So feel free to copy and paste, certain sections or statements, and then, you can add in more tastes of your personality or provide more detail, elaborate a little bit, since of course there's no page limit. You want to make sure that you adjust your privacy settings. I know sometimes we're nervous about having a public profile, but this is the best way for you to connect with recruiters. So you want to adjust your privacy settings, showing that you are open to opportunities and that your profile is public. So, and then we also encourage you to connect with us. We have a pretty active LinkedIn page. So definitely look for us on LinkedIn to know about events and jobs and things like that we want to advertise. And this just kind of shows you where you can adjust your settings. So if you click on account and settings, you see, that we've highlighted the privacy and settings part, and that's where you'll be able to go so that you can adjust your public stats. Some quick tips. So make sure to update your profile when needed. So if you move, if you adjust I'm trying to think, if you switch positions, I think, if you start at a new school, these are some of the things that we'll want to update when we need to. You also want to make sure that you use a recent profile picture, and it's really obvious when one is outdated. I've had students that have used like high school photos, and then they've graduated like 20 years or more, plus from high school. So that doesn't necessarily look like them anymore. So you want to make sure that your profile photo is up to date. Please review your profile for typos. This is, a first taste of professionalism for the recruiter who's looking at it. So it's really important that you look at it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that the message that you want to get across is being conveyed accurately and that there's not any typos. I'll give you one of my favorite examples, and it was on a resume. It wasn't on a LinkedIn profile, but there was a student who wrote in her resume within the summary section that she was provocative when what she meant to write was that she was proactive. So those are two very different words. And, they both are words. So spell check wasn't necessarily going to pick that up. But clearly, if we're trying to say we're proactive, then saying we're provocative is not giving our intended message. So please check for typos just to make sure that, what you want to get across is there accurately. Be strategic by including keywords that reflect your industry. And you all should know what those are. If you don't, you can do Google search, you can get with your career coach, but there are specific ones. I mean, thinking of social work, for example, active listening, case management, assessment, there are different words and phrases that are going to be relevant for your career field. You can personalize your URL so that it's easy to include on application materials like your resume. So usually you're assigned a URL that's got a whole bunch of letters and numbers at the end of, your name or something. So you can actually go in and customize it. You can remove those letters and numbers and just have something very simple, maybe that just has your name. So, and we do encourage you, once you feel like your LinkedIn profile is strong, add that URL to your resume so that, you know, it's out there for an employer to be able to check out easy. And again, it's great to connect with people that you don't know yet on LinkedIn. If there's a title that you aspire to have or a company that you aspire to work for, you know, type that in the search bar and find people to connect with. Maybe send them a message asking them about their own personal journey. You never know what opportunity that might create for you. And really briefly, I just wanted to mention LinkedIn Learning. So LinkedIn Learning is a tool that you have access to here at University of Houston downtown. This is an online learning resource where you can take free courses in many different subject areas, everything from customer service to different software programs. So the great thing is that once you have a LinkedIn account, any trainings that you complete in LinkedIn Learning will be connected to your LinkedIn profile. So an employer can say, oh, look, you know, Alexis did a training on customer service in LinkedIn Learning. But if you don't have one, then you can still, within your resume or other application materials, be able to indicate that you completed a training on a certain topic within LinkedIn Learning. And that's always going to make you a more marketable candidate. So just wanted to briefly mention that, since that's a unique resource that everyone should take advantage of just to increase your marketability and enhance your expertise. So now we're going to jump into the understanding your paycheck and benefits portion of this presentation. So I guess really quickly, do we have any questions about LinkedIn before I get here?
No, I
No.
think that's good.
Okay, so awesome. So now jumping in here. So talking about different types of benefits that may be offered by employers. So there are certain benefits that are mandatory for employers to offer according to federal and state law. And some of those benefits may include things like family and medical leave, Social Security and Medicare tax payments, unemployment insurance, disability insurance, workers' compensation in case there's an accident that occurs on the job site, and then time off for civic duties like voting or jury duty. Now, companies can also offer other benefits, and some of the common ones that you may see are things like paid vacation or paid time off for things like holidays. Health insurance. Now, not every place is going to offer that, but some will. And the health insurance plans are going to cover things like wellness exams, medications, treatments. So that's, you know, a really great benefit to have. Sometimes I'll have students that are so focused on salary, you know, that they may turn down a job with a great benefits package because they have a higher salary somewhere else. But perhaps that place doesn't offer the same kind of benefits package. And so, you know, if you have to go pay out of pocket for health insurance, that can be expensive. So this is one of the reasons why we want for you to keep some of these benefits in mind. Some companies can also offer life insurance. You know, so I want to say here at University of Houston downtown, we even get a little bit of money for life insurance. So that's interesting that the university does that for us. Many offer retirement plans like employee pension plans or 401ks. So what that does is it allows you to have pre-tax a percentage of earnings taken from your paycheck that go towards retirement, so that when you are ready to, you know, go fishing or do art or whatever it is that you want to do after you're done with your career, you make sure that you have enough money put aside so that you can do that without having to work. And then some employers might either contribute to what you have in retirement, or they may even match up to a certain percentage. Like I know the company my husband works for example, they match up to 5% of what he contributes to his retirement account. So that's awesome. Some companies offer wellness programs. UHD is one. So, you know, we can have fitness release time where we can go to our gym and work out. So there are different incentives when it comes to wellness. Some companies have tuition reimbursement, which is lovely. The only thing to keep in mind is that sometimes those companies that offer tuition reimbursement may ask for you to sign a contract that locks you in with them for a certain number of years. So if you leave them before your contract is up, you may have to pay them back for the money they put towards your tuition. Some workplaces offer flexible hours. So maybe if the 8 to 5 schedule isn't for you, they may allow for you to work from 9 to 6 instead, or 10 to 7. So that's one of the benefits. Obviously, COVID has increased the number of work from home benefits. So that is definitely, a possibility with certain companies. Some may provide ownership of stock within their own company, which of course is going to, potentially grow in value over time. Some may offer bonuses for strong performance, or if you're having to move, some may offer relocation assistance. So these are some examples of common benefits. Keep in mind that not every place is going to offer you each and every one of these. Some may offer none of these because, they're only required by law to offer you certain ones. But if someone does, that's a great thing to keep in mind when you're considering multiple job offers. Okay, so now we're going to jump into understanding all of the different verbiage that's on your paycheck stub. And I know that this can be kind of confusing. So paychecks are generally broken down into 4 sections. The first being personal and check information, which is, kind of self-explanatory as far as the name of, the employee, which is going to be you, your employee ID number, the check number, things like that. Then we're going to jump into earnings. And so that's going to be, broken down according to if there were different, things that you did or different types of earnings. For University of Houston Downtown, for example, we get longevity pay according to the state of Texas. So we may see in our gross earnings that we get our normal monthly salary, plus we get, a little bit of extra money every month for longevity. And so that'll be, designated where it says type under the gross earnings in number 5. Then you also see deductions. So this is where pre-tax deductions are being made for benefits like health insurance, retirement contributions, as well as after-tax benefits. So these are going to be, things that are taken out like group life or disability insurance. You do see here that it shows federal tax withholding, state tax, Medicare tax. So you can see that there in number 6. Then also other withholdings, which is basically the same as deductions, but it's labeled as deductions. And you can also choose additional withholdings, and you'll sort that out when you complete your W-2 forms and W-4 forms when you start at a new place. I know, for example, one of my coworkers withholds an additional $100 every month just to make sure that when taxes come around every April, that she won't owe the government additional monies. And we'll talk about that probably, I think, in the next slide, actually. Okay, so, or maybe it's 2 slides away, but this is fine. Okay, so how much tax is taken out of a paycheck? So this is a question, and I know being an adult is hard, everybody. I completely get it, because we're like, wait, we should be earning 100% of what we were offered when we first accepted a job offer. But unfortunately, we do have to pay certain taxes. So the first is going to be the federal income tax, otherwise known as withholding tax. So this is an amount of money that gets sent directly to the government And the less allowances that you have on your W-4 forms, the less money that gets withheld for federal taxes. So when you're completing that form, it's going to ask you about certain qualifications that you may have. I had a single parent contact me recently, actually, when she was completing these onboarding forms. And she was like, how many deductions should I include? And knowing that she was a single parent and head of household, we were able to discuss that. So just know that the more allowances you have, the less money that's going to get withheld for federal taxes. But keep in mind, if you have many allowances, then that could mean at the end of the year that you may owe money back. So just, the government makes sure it gets its money one way or the other. So it's either that you end up with more money every month and then potentially have to owe every April, or it could be that you have less money every month, but then don't owe anything in April, or it could be that you're lucky and that you won't have to pay taxes every April and still get to keep as much money as possible in your paycheck. So it just all depends on what your salary looks like and what that household income is for you. Then we have state taxes. So those are going to vary just depending on the state that you're in. Of course, Texas, we have our very own state taxes that seem to be considerably low compared to some of the other states that are out there. Then we have Social Security that's withheld from your paycheck. So this is an amount of money that goes towards people who are receiving Social Security. So under federal law, you contribute 6.2% of your income, and an employer adds an additional 6.2% towards Social Security on your behalf. So they're getting like 12.4% of money based on your salary, but 6.2 is being submitted by you and 6.2 is coming from your employer directly. Then there's also Medicare that's being taken from your paycheck. So Medicare is a government-based insurance plan for Americans that are 65 and older, as well as certain citizens that have disabilities that maybe aren't 65 yet. So this is a free insurance plan. So we contribute to Medicare. Even if we're not participating in it, we have to contribute to it. Same with Social Security. So every worker is required to contribute 1.45% of your income, and the employer will pay an additional 1.45% on your behalf. So again, that's something else to keep in mind. When employers are hiring us, they're having to pay money on our behalves too into the government taxes. So, okay. So just this gives a brief overview, and here's some different codes that you may not be familiar with, but if you see them on your paycheck, this is what they mean. So gross pay is the amount of money that you earn during a specific pay period. You see FIT, FED, these are examples that stand for federal income tax withheld. State, SIT, SITW, so state taxes that are being, withheld, the state in which you earned your money. You see SS, SOC, SEC, these are some common acronyms that stand for Social Security tax. MED, pretty easy to spot, that's for Medicare. FSA and HSA, so those are for flexible or health savings or spending accounts. Not every place offers that, some do, where you can take a portion of your pre-tax dollars and put it towards, if you want to have a health savings account, maybe, you anticipate the possibility of having some higher cost health expenses, and this would allow you to save money towards that rather than having to scrounge for it at the last minute. 401k, so that goes towards retirement. Net pay, that's the total amount that you received after all deductions have been taken. So very different from gross pay. Garn is wages that are garnished. And then the last one is for child support payments. So if the government is taking, or courts, if it's been mandated that you must pay child support, that's what that code looks like. Okay, so that concludes our presentation for you today. So we would appreciate if you would take this survey for us. The link is here for you, tinyurl.com/CDC pilot, and you're going to select Are You Career Ready from the drop-down menu. So we'll leave this up, and if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to unmute your mics or type your questions in the chat, and we will happily get to them.
Can you post the URL in the chat?
Yes, we sure can.
If anyone has any questions, go ahead and post them and I can ask them for you, or you can just unmute yourself. This was an amazing workshop. The information was, there was some stuff where I was like, oh my goodness, I needed this. I did not know that. Yes. So I will be connecting with you, Lisa.
Sure.
And Arrianna, please be aware, I will be trying, and don't be trying to act like you don't know me, okay? Don't be trying to act like you don't see me, okay? I will be connecting with y'all.
Yes, no problem. We're glad that you found it to be helpful. How often do we have to update our LinkedIn? So it is recommended that you interact with the platform at least once daily, if not more. So interacting with the platform doesn't necessarily mean that you have to create a post. It could be that you like someone else's post. It could be that you share someone else's post or comment on someone's post. So that's definitely, something that you have to keep up with pretty regularly. As far as updating, contact information is if you've moved, if you've changed positions, if you've acquired a new degree, that's just going to be situational. So just based on when you acquire that new job or a different degree title or when you move. So hopefully that answers your question.
Lisa, I think you mentioned about the longevity pay or something. Yeah. So is that what exactly is that? Is that for like living longer you get paid or something like that?
I love that. That would be great if that was
so. It's not like that.
Yeah. So with the state of Texas, they offer longevity pay. So the longer that you've worked for a state institution, the more pay that you receive, you get just a little extra money every month, basically saying thank you for your loyalty to working for the state. So again, that's not going to be consistent for every place, but here at UHD, that is a benefit that we have. And for example, I worked for a state institution before coming to UHD. I worked for another university that was a public Texas institution. And so that time transferred here so that when I started here, I got credit for it. So my pay, I was already earning a little more longevity pay than if I was a brand new employee since I had previous state time. So hopefully that answers your question. So it's about basically how long you stay versus how old you are. That would be lovely though. I like that.
Thank you. Yes, I did. I answered it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions for us?
I'm not sure if you addressed it. What's the best way to connect with someone on LinkedIn that you don't know?
I mean, I think sending a personal message is the best way. I think, especially if it's someone who's in a title that you are really interested in or working for an organization that you're interested in working for, then I think that already kind of creates maybe some questions that you might have or curiosity so that you can engage in a conversation. So I would say, send a personal message, maybe ask them about their journey. How did you get to work for Harris County? This is a place where I'd really like to work. So tell me about that journey for you. What kind of positions prepared you for this role? Something along those lines. I think that's usually the best way of making a stronger connection is to send a personal message.
Is there a cheat sheet on the UHD career page website that we could use to kind of, have those starter questions? Because what you just said is amazing and I will forget, but I want to, I think it would be helpful. So is there like a cheat sheet that we can use or somewhere we can go to find that?
So Ari actually just posted in the chat some helpful links that everybody can copy. So she's got a 4-year checklist that she went over really beautifully towards the beginning of our presentation. She's got the link to our Focus 2 career assessment if you want to continue exploring different career paths. She's got the links to our major handout so that you can see different industries and possible titles you can have that go with your major. And then there's also a link to our LinkedIn checklist. So she's got all of that right there for you. And hopefully those will be some good, helpful resources.
Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, I have one last one.
Sure.
I wanted to make sure I gave the students, ample time.
Yeah.
So when you're connecting with someone, let's say that you don't know, and you're asking these questions, when is it a good time to ask about potential opportunities that may be at the company that they're with?
So studies show that you really need to make 8 different contact attempts before someone really truly becomes a closer connection. So I would say, and I know that sounds like a lot, but I would say you definitely want to establish more of that personal connection before you jump into that opportunities kind of piece. So again, the studies show 8. I would say, personally speaking, I would think maybe at least 3 or 4 kind of more personal outreach, pieces. Hey, how are you? Even right now, the holiday break, could be a good excuse. It's a holiday weekend. Hope that you've got some great plans. So it doesn't have to be anything super major. It can just be more casual. But we know, again, the studies show it takes 8 outreach attempts before that person really truly kind of becomes a possible resource for you.
And you were talking about paychecks. Is there an appropriate way, I guess you could say, or a specific way that you would, let's say that you're looking at your paycheck and you're like, oh man, I'm a great employee. Are there specific steps that you would take to maybe ask for a raise or quantify your work?
So, I think that the best thing to do if you are ready for a raise is to have a list of justifications. I keep, an email file anytime that I receive a thank you from a staff member or from a student. I save that. I keep documents where, if there's certain projects that I work on, I'll make note of it so that when I do my evaluation at the end of the year, I can provide those for reasons as to why I want a certain ranking. But I think that that's also great to do for when you're considering asking for a raise, making sure that you're keeping track of all of the great things that you're doing so that you can approach your supervisor and say, I, have done X, Y, and Z for our organization. I've led this particular effort. I've increased our sales by this percentage. So you can think of whatever accomplishment applies to the type of workplace that you're in. But I would say, bring a list of justifications with you. I even think a hard copy is great so that you can hand that to your supervisor, when you have that discussion. I always think that a one-on-one conversation is a little bit better because when it comes to something like that, I think body language is important to read. I think having that connection where you're looking someone in the eye is better than just sending an email that can be a little impersonal and probably gives them more of an opportunity to say no. I think sometimes when we're in front of someone, it's harder for them to say no. So I would say, approach your supervisor, have that list of justifications and say, I bring this to the table. I've been here for XYZ amount of time, and in that time I've done this. And this is why, I'm requesting this. Or maybe you have a particular situation that's come up in your life that, requires you to have a little more income. That's also another thing that you can factor into the equation. And I see Ari has something she wants to contribute, so I'm going to pass it over to her too. She's our HR specialist person with her certification here.
I'm through HR.
So yeah, I'm getting my master's in human resources, and then I also just completed my Society for Human Resources Management certified professional certification. So yeah, we like to throw that around here. But I wanted to add to what Lisa was saying in regards to having hard copies of the work that you are doing. Everything is about a strategy, and so to complement that, like she mentioned, we have evaluations. You want to be strategic in your evaluations. When you're goal setting, you want to make sure that you're setting your goals so that they are, number one, measurable and attainable, but then the work that you are going to be providing to your supervisor about a raise should demonstrate you going beyond your goals or above what was set for you. And so you want to make sure that you set yourself up in a position to be able to ask for that raise. And that way you do have the hard copies, like Lisa mentioned, to show, hey, if I had to do 3 presentations during this time, I exceeded that. And you can even throw in a percentage there, I exceeded that by 50% or 100%. And so all of that stuff looks good. Managers want to see quantifiable work or progress. And so that's a good way to make sure that you are able to easily demonstrate to them how you're achieving that, and then basically why you are asking for the raise.
So what I hear is I need to come downtown and schedule a session privately with you and Lisa. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
Then I will be putting myself on your calendar very shortly.
Yes.
Ladies, did y'all hear that advice on how to quantify your work to show that you can stand out? That is top notch. That's yeah. Okay. If no one else has any questions, we're gonna go ahead and close out this session. The next one will start at 12:30. You guys are more than welcome to come back. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.